What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Married at First Sight, Season 18, Episode 14, Lies, Lies, Lies. And speaking of lies, let's start off with Madison and Allan. Y'all, I cannot stand this woman. I absolutely, positively cannot stand Madison. And the reason why I put Madison slightly, the reason why she disgusts me more than David does is because David knows that Michelle doesn't want him. David knows that Michelle, probably 99.9999%, is going to say no on decision day. Allan, on the other hand, has no clue. Everybody on this show knows what's going on up until this point, except for Allan. And the way that Madison, I'm going to say that she is leading him on because she's making him believe that she's something that she's not. She's making him believe that she is also trying to make this marriage work. Yes, they do have hiccups. Yes, they do have challenges, but that she is really trying to make this work. And she's putting this man through the ringer as far as making him change everything about himself to please her. And even though she'll say things like, well, I don't want you to fix your teeth for me. I want you to take care of your dental health. But she knows damn well that this man would not be getting Invisalign if it wasn't for her. And she must have said something about his teeth, to make him feel like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that right now. So if she doesn't care about him and she doesn't want to be with him, and this is not, her type, and there's no attraction, and she'd rather be with David, why is she making him change himself to please her? But anyways, I'm jumping way ahead. So it starts off with, we're watching this black and white video surveillance of their home security camera in the living room. And we see Allan laying on the couch, and it's like, some ungodly hour. He's sleeping on the couch, and Michelle comes sneaking in. And she's tiptoeing through the apartment, trying not to wake him up. And he ends up waking up anyways. And then the next morning, Allan tells us in his in his confessional, he tells us that, he does feel some kind of way with her coming home at these ungodly hours because she's so-called hanging out with her friends. So they meet up with Dr. Pia. Madison starts right off the bat. Madison begins trying to justify, because she knew that Allan was going to bring up her coming home at midnight, coming home at 3 o'clock in the morning, etc. She knew he was going to bring that up at this meeting with Dr. Pia. So she wanted to jump ahead of the story, as they say. And so she started telling Dr. Pia that because, whenever they have arguments, she is not in a state of mind where she wants to continue to talk to him. She's not in the state of mind of wanting to stay at home with him. So whenever they have an argument or a disagreement, she would rather go out with her friends to make herself feel better. And I think Allan brought up that she does this quite a bit. It's like 2 to 3 times a week she's going out to hang out with her friends whenever they have a disagreement. And Dr. P is like, I don't think that's really appropriate wife behavior, Madison, because if you're having issues with your husband, you need to work it out with him, not run off with your friends and stay out all night. And the issue is not resolved and, it's still festering right beneath the surface. You need to stay home and you need to talk to your husband about whatever issues that y'all are having. Dr. Pia says that it's unhealthy how Madison would rather spend time with other people, her friends, instead of wanting to spend time with her husband. Allan then mentions that whenever she goes out and stays out late, he'll have these dreams that she's meeting up with another man. And I'm like, if that's not the universe trying to tell you something, I don't know what is. I'm a big believer in dreams and what dreams are really trying to tell us about our subconscious, about our lives, about what's going on around us, etc. I'm a big believer of all of that. So he says that he's been having dreams. Now, I don't know if he's actually been having these dreams or this is his way of expressing his suspicions without coming right out and accusing her of cheating. So he'd rather put it in a way like these thoughts are coming to me, without my control, like subconsciously these thoughts are creeping into my head or whatever. So he says he's been having these dreams that Madison is meeting up with another guy. And Madison was like, oh, absolutely, I wouldn't do anything like that. I absolutely wouldn't do anything like that. Um, I think what Madison and David are really planning to do, I think well, first of all, they think they're slick, but they're not, because David is, might not be the brightest, brightest of anything, really. I think what him and Madison are trying to do is they are going to, have their little secret rendezvous and keep it on the under, keep it on the down low and whatnot. And then they're going to pretend like they really want to make their marriages work. They're going to say no on decision day. And then after the filming wraps, after reunion, after all of that, they're going to make it seem like, oh, and then we started seeing each other when we were done with the show. And we realized that we really had a connection. I think that's what they're hoping this would come out looking, that during the filming of the show, they were really, really focused on making their marriages work. They were giving it the old college try. But then after filming wrapped and everybody went their separate ways, they ended up, talking or whatever and seeing each other. And they started hooking up way after the show, way after the divorces, way after the show was said and done. I think that's what their plan is, because supposedly, rumor has it that they are like still together in real time. They are actually still together because people have been seeing them. They've been spotted in different places, I think around Chicago, with each other. And so they want to make it look like their intent was to make it look like nothing started until way after they left their spouses. But we know that this started back in Mexico. Okay, this affair, these feelings for each other started way back in Mexico when when they would be working out together at the gym in the resort that everybody was staying at for their honeymoons. So moving on from there, Madison then she takes him to go see a stylist so that he can improve his wardrobe, to make her happy. And of course, she wants him to look good, I guess. I'm assuming she wants him to look really good and level up his style for the next woman. It's not going to be her, but I don't know why she's putting all this effort, but I guess it's part of the ruse. This is part of her trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes and to trying to make it seem like she wants to mold this man into something that she can be attracted to. But in actuality, she has no intentions of staying with this man. And so she's trying to make him look good, I guess, for the next woman. Then they're getting ready to go out to the couples retreat. And while they're packing up and everything, Allan's Invisalign show up. And so on their way to the retreat, he talks about how how they're fitting in his mouth and whatever. And he says something like, he alludes to the fact that he's doing this for her because she doesn't like crooked teeth and she wanted him to fix his teeth. And so he's going through this for her. And that's when she tells him, oh, but you need to worry about you need to want to have better teeth, for yourself, not necessarily for me. And Allan tells her, I was fine with my snaggle tooth, with my snaggle teeth. I was perfectly fine with how my teeth were looking. I didn't have an issue with my teeth. I kind of like how my incisor, juts out. And Madison says, well, did your past girlfriends like that? Evidently, no one had an issue with it because nobody ever told him to get Invisalign. It's just you, Madison. You're trying to, in a way, like the way she's trying to like so-called build up his confidence, she's actually tearing it down by telling him, oh, you need to change your wardrobe. Oh, you need to change your teeth. Your teeth are too crooked for me. She's actually tearing this man down under the guise of trying to build him up or trying to help him gain more confidence. Moving on to Michelle and David. So Michelle is out having drinks with the ma'am, and this is when she tells Michelle that she highly suspects, no, not highly, she has a small suspicion that the person that David was texting was Madison. After that, she's waiting for him at the apartment. She's staying up late just to have a chance to talk to him because I don't know, I guess he comes home from work late. So usually she'll be in bed by a certain hour, but because she wants to get to the bottom of these text messages, she ends up staying up late for him. So he comes home and they start talking about, the text messages. He admits to her that you were right. I did lie. They were not to my cousin. They were to another woman by the name of Tiffany. Somebody that he met on some dating app. He was texting her. She sent him a picture. She was going out that night. And this Tiffany sent him a picture of her going out outfit. And he texted back, you look so fine, I could eat you up. But then he says that he deleted the contact, Tiffany's contact. He completely deleted it. He talks about how he was feeling really hurt by Michelle because Michelle was rejecting him. Michelle was constantly putting him down. And Michelle says, but you were telling everybody else that everything was fine. If you were so hurt by me and how I was treating you, you were telling everybody else that you were fine. You were happy. Everything was going great, because every single time that experts would ask David, how are things going? He would say things were going great. Things were going good. And then she also brings up how, now you're telling me that the things that I said to you hurt you, but during the time that I was saying these things to you, you were constantly complimenting me on how sexy it was that I was being so honest with you. So which is it? Was it sexy or was it hurtful? When every time that I told you exactly how I felt and what I thought. And what could he say? Because he's lying. And the thing about David is that he has no one no one is expecting him to put up with how Michelle was treating him. He had a clear out. He had a beautiful out where he could be like, you know what, this is not going to work. I can't be with someone who's going to disturb my mental, who is going to constantly make me feel some kind of way about myself because of the way that I live my life and how I choose to, conduct my life. So I'm going to respectfully exit. And yeah, I'll go ahead and get that divorce and we'll take care of that right now and I'll be out. He had the perfect out. He had no reason to stay in this emotionally abusive relationship with this woman. It wasn't even just the words that she would say to him, it was how she would look at him. She looked at this man with pure disgust. And he could have just been like, you know what, this isn't working out, so I'm just going to leave. I don't want to stay in this marriage. I don't want to stay in this apartment with you. I'm going to leave. And then he can, chill in the cut, waiting for Madison to get her divorce from Allan, and then they could do whatever they got to do together instead of the lying. Because the lying, not only does he look bad for lying, but he also looks stupid for the kind of lies that he tells. And I get the feeling that Madison, I'm hoping that if Madison has any sense, she's sort of like, she should be second guessing her decision to want to be with David because he lies like an idiot. But maybe she likes that. Maybe she wants a guy that doesn't lie very well because then she can catch him and trip him up on his lies. Moving on. And Mem and Akechi. They meet with Dr. Pia. So Dr. Pia was a little bit surprised that things are not progressing between them because, at the last meeting that they had with her and Pastor Cal, they had made the decision that they were going to try again, that they were going to live together back in the apartment. And coming to find out, they did move back in together and they barely talked. And when he went on his trip to Houston, he never reached out to her. There was absolutely zero communication between them. So when Akechi arrived at this meeting, he greeted Dr. Pia. He sat down and Dr. Pia was like, aren't you going to greet your wife? And then Akechi, because Akechi does think on his feet. He thinks on his feet a whole lot better than David does. Of course, we see right through it, but he's quick with it. He was like, well, you didn't give me a chance. I was going to greet her, but you were talking to me, which she wasn't. There was a pause between the time when he greeted her and when she brought up the fact that he didn't greet MM. There was a pause there. But he did come up with an excuse. They talk about the lack of progression in their relationship. Ikechi said that because Dr. Pia asked him, why didn't you reach out to me, ma'am, while you were in Houston? And he said, being in Houston was a time for me just to self-reflect and be by myself. And it was a moment of solitude. I just wanted just to separate myself from this whole entire experience and just, be by myself. And so Dr. Pia asked him, ma'am, did you know that his trip to Houston was also a time for him just to kind of separate himself from you and not have any contact with you and just be in solitude? And of course, the man was like, no, I had no idea that that was another reason why he was going to Houston. Dr. Pia says that, Dr. Pia was getting a little bit frustrated because she was like, am I missing something between the two of you? Dr. Pia, he doesn't want to be with her. I don't know how much clearer he can possibly make it. He doesn't want to be with her. He doesn't want to try. He doesn't want to do anything that y'all tell him to do because he doesn't want to be with her. He wasn't here for marriage. He wasn't here for a wife. He was here to um advertise himself. He was here for very selfish reasons, just to promote himself and whatever he's got going on with his books, his poetry, his music, his social media. That's why he's here for exposure. He's not here for a marriage. I don't understand like why Dr. P is pretending to not see this, but I guess she has to do her job and make it look like she's trying to make them work it out and she's trying to make them come to some type of a uh I don't know what. So Dr. Pia asks if there's any possibility for them to get back on track, and Ikechi says that he doesn't have the want or the desire to do so. And this is when Imam got up and she walked away. So she was gone for a couple of minutes, and Dr. Pia was asking Ikechi, how does that make you feel? Why do you think she left? And he says, well, she left because she's really hurt because she's not getting what she wants. And so then Imam comes back. And Dr. Pia says that, no one should feel forced to stay in this relationship. But if there's any piece of hope at all, then y'all should try to work this out. There is no hope. This man just said that he does not have the want or the desire to move forward with this woman. He really needs to just step away. And I don't think that the show or the production company is going to come after anybody who wants to leave early, who wants a divorce before a decision, because I think it's been done before. I don't think that there's any contractual consequence for that because it's understandable that people are not going to get along. It's foreseeable that people are just not going to get along when you put them together. So why should they stay and suffer, or why should they fake the funk and pretend to want to make it work when in actuality they don't? I don't think I don't think that would be fair. And I really don't think that there's any kind of penalty for not staying until decision day, because people have left way before decision day. So I'm very confused on why they just he just doesn't leave. Or if he's going to stay, then try. If you're going to stay, then try. At the very least, stop embarrassing her and stop being rude to her. At the very least, if you're going to decide that, well, I'm going to stay, whether it's for contractual reasons or because he just wants to stay on the show, don't be rude to her. Carla and Juan. By the way, last week's episode, we saw Grandma Lingerie, which was the tantric yoga specialist who came to their apartment to help them do the tantric yoga. And it was an older woman, a very seasoned woman, in some flimsy lingerie. Well, this woman, I guess because she's been attacked horribly on social media, she has released a statement, and she said in her statement that obviously it hurts that people were talking so horribly about her and criticizing her and how she looked and how the camera made her look heavier than she actually was. And she talked about how when she came to the apartment, there was no chemistry between Juan and Carla. She said there was zero chemistry between them. She also said that she was there for about 2 hours, but they didn't show, I guess, the good parts. They only showed what they wanted to show. And but just what resonated with me was when she said that there was just no chemistry between these two people. None. Anyway, moving on. So in this week's episode, Carla and Juan go to Carla's spiritual cleanser, sorry. Her spiritual cleanser, this woman who reads tarot cards. I had a feeling, it seemed like to me that because Carla and the spiritual cleanser are friends, I think. When the spiritual cleanser or the tarot card reader, when she was saying how, y'all are soulmates and the show whoever matched y'all together did a great job in matching y'all, et cetera, et cetera. I had a feeling that this is what Carla probably told her to say to try to convince Juan that they need to be together. Because I was like, those cards are telling you that, because the fact his unattractiveness towards her, or him being so unattractive to her, it's so palpable. You need to get a new set of tarot cards, lady. You need like a brand new set of tarot cards, because these right here, there's too much dust settling on these cards. They're clouding. They're not telling you the message. They're not telling you what you need to know, because it's so obvious that there is no connection between these two people. It's so obvious. Why are you telling people stuff like this, Miss Tarot Card Reader? Juan meets up with one of his homeboys, and he tells his homeboy that, Carla and her lifestyle and this whole spirituality and tarot card reading and incense and chakras and crystals. Yeah, I'm not really vibing with that. At the after party, we find out that Carla, because Carla's at the after party, Carla tells Keisha Napoleon that Juan has a brother who does tarot card reading and that his whole family is into this kind of stuff that she's into. And I'm like, okay, so what's the point? And the Keisha Napoleon was like, so why is he acting like he doesn't like it? Why does he have to like it just because his whole family is into it? There's people that are like one political party. They're part of one political party, but their whole entire family is of a different political party. Just because your family's down with it doesn't mean that you're down with it. So the fact that his family is into this kind of stuff, it I'm not confused why Juan wouldn't be in. He has his own mind, his own way of thinking, his own beliefs. He is his own individual person. Just because his family's down with it doesn't mean that he should be either. Camille and Thomas. So they talk about decision day, and Camille wants Thomas to. She wants Thomas to just be like a leader in their relationship, in their partnership, and she wants him to make decisions for the both of them, and she wants him just to take control and be like, this is what we're going to do after decision day. If we're still vibing with one another, this is what we're going to do. We're going to live together or whatever. um she wants him to bring up those conversations on his own, because now they're like about a week or so away from decision day, and they have yet to really talk about what they're going to do after decision day. She had to bring it up because she wanted to know. And so she wished that he would have brought it up, and she wished that he would have brought it up a whole lot earlier. So Camille's desire to have Thomas be more, to take more control of the relationship, I don't know. Her desire for that, it's understandable. There's a lot of women who are like that, but I don't think he's just that guy. I don't think it's in him to do that. The men who do that, they do that because it's in them to do that. It's in them to take the lead. And it's not in him to take the lead because he's very considerate of other people. And he's like, he doesn't want to make a mistake. He doesn't want to make her upset. He wants her to give her input. He wants to do whatever he needs to do to make her happy. But it's just not in his DNA to just be a leader in the relationship like that. I see him like he's like a golden retriever kind of partner. I just don't see that happening at all. And I don't know. I don't know. That might be the downfall, because I don't think he can be. If it's not in him, I don't think he can be. So they go out to dinner. And by the way, they meet with Pastor Cal, and Pastor Cal encourages them to live together after decision day, to do whatever they got to do to make it happen for them to live together in one roof. Because I think they talked about keeping their apartments until their leases are over. And while they're waiting their leases to end, they're going to just be bouncing back and forth between their apartments. Like she'll stay with him or he'll come stay with her. And Pastor Cal wants them to live together under one roof. After that, they go out to dinner and they talk about what life is going to be like together. She asked him, so how do you see us handling our finances? He says, well, if it's dual income, then we should split the bills. I wonder if she wanted him to say, I'll take care of everything. I'll pay for everything. I wonder if that's what she was expecting him to say, because she wants him to be that type of guy that takes on a very strong leadership role in their relationship. Thomas is okay with them living together. He's cool with that. But we'll see if Camille is okay with Thomas. Now let's get into this damn couples retreat. So Michelle and David decide to go to the couples retreat because that was up in the air because of the issues that they're having with the text messages and David stepping out on the marriage. It was unknown if they were even going to attend the couples retreat. But yes, they did attend, but they showed up separately. Michelle drove there with Imam. And Michelle tells Imam that she doesn't believe that there's a Tiffany, obviously. And, she, like I said, she kind of thinks that it might be Madison that he was messaging. Allan, Madison, Michelle, and Imam, they're the first ones to arrive at the retreat, at the couples retreat. And Michelle tells them that David did confess to reaching out to another woman. And of course, anytime David talks, the camera pans to Madison to see her reaction. So I was thinking to myself, poor Allan. Everybody knows what's going on but Allan. Everybody knows what's going on but Allan. Later on, everybody's there, and minus Iachi, and Allan prepares dinner for everybody. He made shrimp tacos. He made the dinner for everybody, and I don't see how. Anyways, Madison just wants a muscly man. She could care less about anything else. So during dinner, Iachi shows up, and oh, wait a minute. Well, yeah, during dinner, they're sitting down. Iachi shows up out of nowhere, and he walks into the house, and he pulls away from everybody, and he sits her down to the side somewhere, off to the side, and he takes out his green folder and he opens it and he tells her to sign. He says, "These are divorce papers. I want you to sign them." And so she looks at it and she's like, "Where's the rest of it? I'm not going to sign an incomplete legal document. Are you crazy? Says page 1 of 4. Where's page 2, 3, and 4? And he was like, "It don't matter. This is just a formality. Sign." So this man was so desperate to create a dramatic moment that it completely backfired on him because he's an idiot. He is so razor focused on creating a scene that's going to make him memorable. And like I said, he doesn't care if he's going to be the villain of season, whatever this is, season 18. He doesn't care if he's going to be a villain of season 18. He doesn't care. As long as he gets some type of notoriety. He is so desperate for attention, and he's so desperate for fame, and he's so desperate for clout that he runs to this house, pulls her away from the dinner table in front of everybody, and he gives her an incomplete legal document. And he thought that she was as stupid as he was, and that she was just either going to just sign or she was going to create a scene. And I could feel the blood boiling through Imem's veins, but she was trying her hardest to stay cool, calm, and collected because she knows that would be giving in to exactly what he wants, which is for her to react and become activated, right? So she's like, I'm not very calm, very demure. She's like, no, I'm not going to sign this because it's an incomplete legal document. I don't sign things that are incomplete. Where's the rest of it? I'll give you your divorce. Trust and believe. You're going to get your divorce. But I need to sign an actual legal document. And he tries to be, oh, it's just a formality. Just sign it. Just go ahead and sign it. So he really could have done this at the damn apartment, for real. He could have because like I said, his need for attention, he wants to show up. He's probably texting a producer. So what's going on right now? What's going on now? Because he wanted to know when he can make the most dramatic of all entrances. So she refused to sign it, and he has no choice but to slither away. So Imam comes back to the table, tells the group what happened, what was going down. And Juan said, Iachi's a teacher, and he should be setting an example for his students. This is not how you act, and this is not how you treat another person. This is absolutely silly and immature. After Iachi's anticlimactic exit, the group goes back to the business at hand, which is to talk about where's everybody at right now in their relationship. So it starts off with Juan and Carla. And, Juan and Carla say that they're having fun, everything is great, but they're still struggling with making a deeper connection with one another. So then Michelle puts David on the spot. And Michelle was like, David, it's your turn. And David was kind of caught off guard. And he talks about, okay, y'all, as everybody knows by now, I did step out of my marriage and I was reaching out to another woman. And I've already confessed all of this to Michelle, and we've talked about it. And what I did was wrong. And I'm sorry for lying to y'all, because there was that one scene a couple of weeks ago when he was hanging out with the guys, and he was telling the guys that his cousin had texted him a plate of food, and he responded by saying, oh, it looks so good, I want to eat it up. And he was explaining to the guys about that. He was like, I don't know why Michelle was interrogating me. He was making Michelle look bad. He was making Michelle look unhinged and insecure because she was upset about him texting his cousin. So he does admit that he lied to the guys, and he apologized to everybody for that. And he's like, yeah, that's what I did. I'm a horrible person for doing that, but I admit that's what I did. And so Michelle interrupted him and said, Okay, don't forget to tell them that the only reason why you're even confessing, or that you did confess to me, was because I reached out to your damn cousin, and your cousin blew your whole damn story. And that's the reason why you're confessing, because you're forced to confess. Michelle says that David has been putting the blame on her for why he reached out to another woman, because she wasn't treating him right. She was making him feel unwanted, unloved. And so he felt the need to go out and, find comfort in another woman's arms. And so she was like, I don't like the fact that you're putting the blame on me. And he was like, I'm not putting the blame on you. And then he proceeded to put the blame on her by saying that, you never tell me, how was your day? You don't kiss me. You don't touch me. You don't do anything with me. Like, what did you expect? And so then Michelle, he also mentioned how they haven't kissed since the wedding. So then Michelle asked Allan, who was sitting directly across from her and David, she asked Allan if him and Madison have kissed since the wedding. And Allan said, no. And then Michelle said, are you reaching out to other women because Madison hasn't kissed you since the wedding? And Allan began to, explain. He was like, no, but with us, it's different. And he wanted to say more, but then David cut him off. And David was like, you don't need to go there, bro, or something to that effect. And then he wanted to talk again. And then Madison cut him off, who was sitting right next to him. Madison cuts him off. I don't think we need to be getting into this right now. I just want to keep everything really light. I don't think we should be talking about anything so serious right now. And then she gets up and she leaves. And I'm like, the two of you are complete blockheads, because y'all are making yourselves look so guilty. Like, whatever's going on, if you're really innocent, Madison, sweetheart, whatever's going on between Michelle and David has got nothing to do with you. So why do you feel the need to get up and go? I mean, she got up and left so fast, like her damn chair was on fire. Whatever they got going on, him reaching out to Tiffany, that don't got nothing to do with you. Everybody else stayed in their seat. Everybody else wanted to listen to the rest of the story and give their input. Why are you jumping up and leaving? Like, I don't understand. Made herself look so guilty. So at the after party, Michelle, it was Michelle, Iachi, and Carla. So at the after party, Carla said that she could understand why David was stepping out on his marriage, because she said she was going to keep it a whole buck. And she told Michelle, he was feeling rejected by you. And Michelle turned it right back on her and said, well, you're feeling rejected by Juan. Do you feel the need to reach out to other men while you're married to Juan? And of course, Carla said no. So Carla said that the night of the text message, what happened was it was her, Madison, Allan. I'm assuming Juan was there, because Carla said that her and Madison had decided to leave the boys and go off and go dancing, just them two. So her and Madison leave to go dancing, and they were there for about 30 minutes or so when all of a sudden David popped up at this club. And next thing she knows, both David and Madison disappeared, and she had no idea where her girl was. She says that they were gone for about 30 minutes, 25, 30 minutes they were gone. Like she said, it was 5 songs went by. And some of these songs can be long, especially if it's like, if they're doing like a remix or a techno remix. Some of these songs can be pretty damn long. So they were gone for, like, she said, about 25 minutes or so. And then they came back, and Madison told her that she lost her phone and that David was going to go help her look for her phone or something. And so Keisha Napoleon said, did you tell Michelle any of this? And Carla said no, kind of like maybe it wasn't her place to tell Michelle, or maybe she really wasn't sure of what was going on and didn't want to, put a lot into it when it could have just all been innocent. And what else happened? Yeah. So, I mean, at the point of the after party, I think everybody knows that Madison and David have been messing around at the point of when this particular after party episode was filmed, because Keisha Napoleon was like, hey, we all know what's really going on here, but we're just going to react to what we're seeing, the footage that we're looking at now, as if she was trying to say, yeah, we know how it went down, but we can't act like we know how it went down. So, like I said, I'm more upset with Madison than I am with David, because Madison knows how much Allan is into her and how much Allan likes her. And she's being very deceitful. Very, very deceitful. I don't understand. It's not like you've been dating this guy for 5 or 10 years and you don't know how to break it to him. In those situations where people have been married for a very long time and one person decides to have an affair and they're like, I really couldn't tell my spouse, that I just wanted to leave because we built this whole life together. We've got kids, we have a home together. Y'all have built this entire life together, and it's like you're not ready to walk away from that. Yeah, maybe you want to go do something on the outside, which is wrong, but it's sort of like, I don't want to say it's understandable, but it's an explanation that we can kind of swallow, to be like, I couldn't just leave because, I still love this person. I may not be in love with them, but I still love them. They're the mother or the father to my children. And, I've built this whole life with them and I've known them for all these years. That's also not easy for me to walk away from. I'm very conflicted. But Madison and Allan have known each other for like a couple of months. So why can't you just, and you don't even like him. You don't even like this dude. Just tell him it's not working out. You're not my type. I'm not attracted to you. And I don't think I can gain attraction for you. And then you go off and you wait until David and Michelle get their divorce. And then you and David can start something. And it's all just a show. Okay. At the end of the day, it's just a television show. These are basically just characters. But why do you want to put your reputation out there like that as someone who would do something like this when there's a way to do it properly? Even if it is just a television show, and even if you are just a character on this show, you're just a talent. Still, why don't you just do it the right way? I don't understand. Like, this is worth you ruining your reputation. I don't get it. Moving on. So at the after party, Iachi said that when they met up with Dr. Pia, he really wanted to tell them, Dr. Pia and the men, that he just didn't want to be there. And so Keisha Napoleon says, but didn't you ask her to go play video games with you? Because that's what happened after they met with Dr. Pia. I forgot to mention that. After they met with Dr. Pia, they're outside and, we're expecting them to go their separate ways. But instead, Ikechi tells Amam, hey, do you want to go play video games together? And of course she's going to say yes because she likes to do it. I don't know why, but she likes to do. And so they go off and they play video games. And so Keisha Napoleon was like, why would you do that? If you don't want to make it work with her, you don't want to stay in this marriage, why would you do that? And he says he was tired and delirious. He didn't know what he was saying. And so then Michelle stepped in and said, don't you see how you could be misleading her? Because on the one hand, you're saying, I don't want to be with you, but then you want to go out and spend even more time with her. Can't you see how that could be kind of cloudy? You're not very clear in your motives and exactly what you want. So he starts bringing up this whole sexual aggression thing that happened in Mexico. And I'm like, boy, we have moved past that. Okay, whatever went down in Mexico, that happened like, eons ago. We have moved way past Mexico. So he brings up, but she was so sexually aggressive. But you stayed. But you stayed. Now what? And not only did you stay, but you want to go play video games with your sexual aggressor. Like, man, stop. Just stop with the lies. So then they asked him, why would he think, so Carla said that his tactic of showing up at the dinner, at the retreat, was just, it was silly. And she said that it was really embarrassing. Like that he just came there to embarrass MM, which is true. I believe Carla. I agree with her. He just showed up just to make a scene and to make her look bad, and he wanted to bring the aggressive black woman out of her so that she can embarrass herself even further. Keisha Napoleon tells him about the negative energy that he brings into a room whenever he walks in. And Michelle said it was really uncomfortable because as they were trying to have dinner, he was like, hovering in the background somewhere in the shadows while they were trying to have dinner. And he says, well, I couldn't be anywhere near the dinner table because I'm allergic to shellfish. So Keisha Napoleon asked him if you could do that scene over again, where you showed up at the dinner and you presented a man with the divorce papers. If you could do that scene over again, how would you do it differently? And he said he would have sent somebody else to give her the papers. So he's just an awful guy. He's an awful person. He's a really awful person. This season is full of really awful people. Now that Married at First Sight US has a cheating scandal, because Married at First Sight Australia, I think a lot of them had cheating scandals. And I think maybe UK, I'm not sure, but for sure, I think it was Australia that I watched where everybody was swapping spouses like it was nobody's business. But now that Married at First Sight US has a cheating scandal, there's no way they can go back to the original formula. There's no way they're going to go back to the original formula. I don't know what the ratings are like this season, but if they're up in any way, I don't think that they're the highest that they've ever had. But if they're up in any way, they're not going to go. They're not going to go back. They're going to continue to pick clowns to be on the show just for the sake of ratings. At the end of the day, it is a business. They got to make a profit. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.